Yo. Hello. Brand new Twitch interface. Hello. We look. Wow, another year. 427 Eastern PM Eastern Time. Anyone there? Yeah, we're back. Good to be home. Great to be home. Someone say something. Okay. While I'm waiting, we got like 3 minutes before the air begins. We kick it off. Hello, everyone. Don't tell me this fails on me. Okay, it did not fail on me. Hello, everyone. Nick Rings, how are you? You're the first one. Okay, so Nick, you're the first one here. And before we begin, we do a drill. Mic check. Audio check. Check, check, 1, 2. How do we sound? Hey, Slackjaw Dastro. Slackjaw Eat Dastro. Hello. Mic check, audio check, check, check. How do we sound? How's the sound? How's the audio? How's the video? You know what they say? These days, if you're doing streaming, it's not okay to have mediocre, just okay audio and video. Crystal clear, really good. Okay. Hey, Funk. Oh man, that's a hard name to pronounce. That's a hard username to pronounce. We just call him Funky Monkey. Funky Monkey. Funky Monkey. Woo! There you go. We got Funky Monkey. I don't think that's a hard. Oh no. Okay. So audio check, mic check. Usually I would do the lighting check. Now it's like I'll just Hey Ratfa, how are you? Yeah, Ratfa. Ratfa got an icon next to. Look like a key press or something. Well, it's 4:29. I know we got 1 minute to begin. We got 1 minute. I'm gonna do a really quick introduction, and then we're just gonna get right into it. Um, I want to say thank you to each and every one of you. Hey, Kalia, how are you? Hey, we got Kaliash Faris. Hello, hello. Want to say thank you to everyone for joining in. Um, you know, welcome back. It's good to be home. It's good to be back. It feels like a long vacation. Been like 4 months. Been like 4 months since we did our last stream back in April. It sounds like forever ago now. Um, if it wasn't for all your support, all your help for all these years, we wouldn't be doing this. Um, I don't know who is a student, who is not. It doesn't matter if you're on Twitch. All that matters is you want to learn, you want to have fun. So it is now 4:30. Welcome everyone to Introduction to Security, offered at Tufts University. I'm Ming Chow. I hate to introduce myself with formalities and title. I'm a teaching professor at Tufts Computer Science. This is the first episode of season number 11. Yes, season number 11. We've done this since fall of 2020. I've loved every minute of this. I know you're going to love this as well. If you're brand new here, welcome. We're going to have fun. So you may be wondering, like, why do I teach my course on Twitch? Hey, Magma, how are you? Um, having the chat going, always wonderful. I love doing these Twitch streams, and I am going to continue doing these Twitch streams because it democratizes the education. There are a lot of people out there who wants to learn cybersecurity, wants to have a good education, but either don't know where to start or cannot afford to attend a place like Tufts. So we open up the classroom. We open up the classroom for the world. Doesn't matter if you're in Massachusetts, doesn't matter whether you're in LA, Nepal, India, Egypt, doesn't matter. You know, Everyone is welcome. We democratize the education. We break down the barriers. No physical barrier, no physical barriers in the classroom. And also, no one knows if you're a cat or a dog. No one knows if you're a student. You could be a CISO, you could be a CEO, you could be rich, you could be poor, you could be anyone, and it doesn't matter. Everyone is on the same level playing field here. Hey, Hector, hooray. Hector, hooray, you're not the soccer player, right? Why is this shit monetized? It's not. Oh, the monetization, yeah, ad roll. Everyone gets an ad roll. I don't do subs, okay? Yeah, I'm gonna allow that. Hey, Crispy Nugs, we meet again. Why is this shit monetized? What do you mean monetized? There's no ad. There's only an ad. There is an ad roll, but it's everyone gets an ad. You know, nothing is free. I mean, it is what it is. Even I get ads as well too. Hey, 300 hearts, how are you? So these Twitch sessions, these are all hands-on. These are all hands-on, and you can use these skills immediately. These sessions are also recorded. There'll be a video on demand after this is all said and done. Also, these videos will be exported to YouTube for closed captioning. So if you need closed captioning, you can refer to the YouTube export. The YouTube export will not have chats. So that's the only big difference. But it's there for archival. Another interesting thing is video on demand for Twitch sessions only lasts for like 2 to 4 weeks. I think it's like 4 weeks now. YouTube lasts indefinitely. Well, unless I get banned. Unless I get banned. So today's session is on the command line. It's going to be using the command line. Hey, Control App for how are you? Okay. So today we're going to be using primarily the command line. Why? Why do you need to? Why are we focusing on the command line first? There has been an age-old problem that, and I hear this all the time, for the last 2 decades, people go in industry or they go into a professional setting and they're given a computer. And it's just amazing is people are so dependent on graphical user interfaces, and when they have to use like a terminal or a command line, they fall flat on their face. And I hear that all the time. In cybersecurity, using the command line is especially important because this many reasons why. Um, First of all, we're all typists. Okay, so we're all typists. We know how to type. You can work a lot faster. Second thing is most computer systems out there, when you work with them, if you're working, let's say, for example, in a medical or an industrial setting, you won't be working with a graphical interface. The only thing that you're going to give like is a command prompt, like a plain screen with text. That's it. So if you're attacking systems, let's say, for example, good or bad attacking system. Let's say, for example, you gain access to a server. Um, the server generally is almost a lot of times is only going to have a graphical it's going to have a text-based interface, no graphical interface. And that's important to know that a lot of systems out there don't have any graphical component because it takes up a lot more memory. It's a lot more space. And also, those software packages have, like any of those graphical packages, they have a lot more dependencies and a lot more vulnerabilities as well. Um, the commands, like Linux command, Unix commands, for the most part is universal. So for example, the ls command that you knew from 20, 30 years ago on Unix is still the same ls command that is now. Just list the damn file. Hey, Chief Bear, how are you? Hey, Tufts FC, yes, hello. Um, it's amazing that even when computer science students graduate with a CS degree, they just can't comprehend being on just a terminal. Okay, And here's another thing that a lot of people don't know is a lot of programs out there, either text-based or graphical, they're built off of a lot of commands under the hood, such as cat, such as a file command. Um, so and here you can also build a lot of programs based on a lot of other programs, command line programs. Okay, versatility, speed. Okay, makes a big difference. It really, really helps. Hey, the OG Yoda. Yes, you are the OG Yoda. Hello, hello. So, and we need to learn the command line first. And one thing to keep in mind is all the skills that you learn from these Twitch sessions, they're not one-offs. Today, the stuff that we do on the command line, you're going to use in subsequent for the next Twitch session, for the next Twitch session, for the next lab, for the next lab, for labs down the road. These are not one-off set and forget. And of course, it almost goes without saying, for those of you who have any aspirations to be in tech, let alone cybersecurity, let alone software development, let alone like machine learning and AI, you're going to be using the command line often or not. So this is my first session I like to do. When I was a freshman at Tufts in 1998, like we were thrown into the wolves. I was given a Unix terminal. I was like, what the hell is going on? I was thrown into the wolves. So I'm following the footsteps of Alva Couch, who for for like the first week of class, he would be running this kind of session at let me not do that. Let me undo that. At 8 o'clock at night, 8 to 10. So he did that for like 3 days for first 3 nights, first week of classes. So let's get right through it. So what is a terminal? So the first thing is, what is a terminal? Well, here you go. Here's a terminal. It's an interface. It's a program. It's a graphical interface. Here, I'm using Mac OS. If you're using Linux, you got a terminal. If you're using a Chromebook, which is Linux based, you have a terminal. If you're on Windows, Windows also have a terminal now. Windows 10 and 11 I know 11. I haven't had a Windows system for over a decade. Even Windows 11 now has the terminal app pre-installed with Windows 11. However, the one caveat with Windows is the underlying interpreter. Okay, the interpretation of the command line of commands is based on Windows and PowerShell and CMD. They're not Linux commands. So if you're on Windows land and you want to use Linux commands, you can now do so. If you're in Windows 10 or Windows 11, what you can do is you can enable something called the Windows Subsystem for Linux, WSL. And I did one of these last night with someone to install Windows Subsystem for Linux so you can use Linux commands on your Windows system. All you need to do is fire up PowerShell as an administrator, and then run WSL space dash dash install. This will install basically an entire Linux system underneath the hood of Windows, and a distribution, a flavor of Linux will also be installed automatically, and by default they use Ubuntu. It's pretty damn sweet now. So if you're on Windows, okay, the first thing I strongly recommend you to do, I almost urge you, it'll make your Windows system so much more versatile and useful. Use and install WSL, Windows Subsystem for Linux. It's great. It's awesome. Okay. Uh, and it's really straightforward. Even it was surprising. I've had someone that was really uncomfortable last night. I was like, yeah, it's just WSL base minus minus install. Takes around 10 minutes to do. Okay, takes around 10 minutes to do. So a terminal is just the interface. But you also may have heard of this term called the shell. Okay, what is a shell? Now, a shell and a terminal, some people like to use the terms interchangeably. They're not. They are not interchangeable. A shell is an interpreter. On my Mac OS, on my system, I use bash as the shell. Now, by default, if you're using Mac OS, the shell is something called ZSH. It's called ZSH. What a shell is an interpreter. It interprets the commands that you type in. So here's a really good Stack Overflow post on shell versus terminal. They're two different terms. Okay, all right. So a shell, here it is. What's the difference between a shell, a console, and a terminal? Shell is a program that actually processes the commands and returns the output. There are many, many different shells out there. You know, ZSH, Bash, shells, um, they're very, very common for Linux and for Mac OS. And the commands are identical. Very, very identical. There are some differences, such as one of the biggest differences for ZSH is really nice. A lot of people love this, is filling in the commands if you hit the right arrow. All right, Bash don't do that. If I hit the right arrow right now, I can't do an ls, and I can't go back to my last ls that I did. Okay, it will fill in like your last good command that you typed in, like if you use a ZSH shell. Okay, so terminal is it's a wrapper program that runs a shell. In this case, the wrapper program is a terminal app. This is what I have on Mac OS. So if you're curious, like I do maybe 60% of my work on the terminal. Okay, and so now what we're going to do is we're going to go through a whole bunch of commands um, and concepts. That's what we're going to do today. So here we are. We fire up a command to terminals. What the hell we're going to do? So the first thing is, where the hell are you? Okay. Hey, I drink lean. How are you? WS in the hello. All right. PWD. PWD is what's your current working directory? Your current, or you can do CWD. Some systems do CWD. PWD, CWD is where you currently located on the system. Now, how this Linux and Unix file system work is based on a file structure that starts at the very top, better known as the root node. Okay? So, what is the root level? What is the root level of a directory structure? The root level of the directory structure at the very top is denoted by a single slash. Okay? Now, PWD or CWD, PWD in this case is where are you currently in the directory structure? So I am currently in a folder called /users with a capital U /mchow/documents. Okay? So you can see there is already not one, not two, but there's a 3-level deep. There's a users folder, there's an mchow folder, and there is a documents folder. We're 3 levels deep already. Okay? At the very top level it's called the root directory, /. Now, if you want to do something called let's move to a new directory, let's move to a directory, all you have to do is cd. Change directory. CD stands for change directory. Change directory to a /, hit enter, and now I am at the root level. I'm at the root of my entire file system. Can I take a look at all the files in the directory? And the answer is, of course, do an ls. List file, ls. Okay, if I do a pwd again, my current working directory, so my current working directory is, I'm at the very top. And at the very top, you'll see a number of different files and folders. Application, bin, core, case sensitive. All right. You can see, okay, here is a thing called users with a capital U. Now, okay, wait a minute. One of the questions that you may have is, are these all folders? Or are these files? Are these shortcuts? Or are they something else? Well, you can dig a little bit deeper. One of the things is, if you want to learn more about certain commands, you type man. Man, hit enter, not going to do anything. If you type man, pw space pwd, you will get what is called the manual for a command. Now I just typed in man space pwd, and it just gives me, so what it is, a pwd command returns working directory name. And there's a little text description. All right. PWD utility writes the absolute path name. All right. There are also a whole bunch of different options as well too. Options start with a dash. Okay. If no options are specified, the -L option is assumed. So one of the things is, if you're actually trying to navigate or trying to learn, um, not only the Unix and Linux commands, there is an old saying, somewhat offensive. It's there's an acronym. If you want to quit out of the terminal, it's called RTFM. It's let's say in the nicest way possible. It's read the fine manual. Okay, man is your friend to learn more about commands. Let's do man ls. The ls command lists directory contents. Alright, on surface, ls seems like a really simple command. But what ls is, this is a really good command to illustrate how deep the command is. There is a lot of options. Lots of options. Okay, that you can do with ls. By default, ls is just going to list all the files and folders. Now, for each file operand that names a file, okay, ls displays its name as yada yada yada. There's so many different options out there. So many. Are you going to learn all these options? No, of course not. There are even some options here I'm looking at. I don't even know what the hell they are. Okay? Now, one of my favorite options for the ls commands is the lowercase l. The lowercase letter L lists files in the long format as described in the long format described below. Okay, I'm going to hit the letter Q to get out of this, and I'm back at the screen here. But now, if I do ls again, this is what we had earlier. We just had a whole bunch of files. But notice what happened if I do ls space -L. Now I get a lot more details. Quite a lot more details. So what are these details that I see here? The details I see, I can tell you are, on the very left, you see where it starts all these D, R, W, X, these things? This column here are the file permissions. You will also can tell whether a file, such as applications or etc., is either a folder or like a file that you can edit and stuff. Okay? Then I see the owner of the file, the group permission of the file size, and a date, timestamp. Okay? ls-l does, this is what you call long format. So by default, if you do straight ls, all you're going to see is a whole, just, a few things. Yeah, just, the name of the file. But you do ls-l, longer format, a lot more details. ls-l is going to be your friend to get a lot of details. And we're going later on, we're going to talk more about file permissions and file ownership. Okay? Now, remember when we did PWD the first time, we were in the /users? Okay? So now we can see we have users in the root directory. One thing I can tell you right now is in the file permissions, the first character, it says D, as I highlighted it right here. That means the user's file is a directory. You can cd into it. So now, one of the things is, another command I absolutely love and use so much, clear the screen. C-L-E-A-R, clear the screen. All right. So now if I go to cd users with a capital U, I'm in the users directory now. cd, here it is. I'm in slash pwd return slash users. I do an ls. There are two things here. They're both directories because you can see that there's a D for each and every one of the files and their file permission. There is an mchow folder and a shared folder. Let's go to cd mchow. That is my home directory. Okay. Now, as I can see, that there is my documents, desktop, download, movies, music, pictures, photos. Okay. Now, if I do an ls-l, the long format of ls-l, you can see a little bit of a deeper details. You can see the owner of the file, the group of the file, and the file permissions. Okay. Hey, doesn't this look familiar? So if you have Mac OS, if you go to your home directory, all right, if you go to your home directory, the folder structure, the graphical version, you can see, yeah, you got your desktop, document, download, libraries, music, pictures, and public. And the timestamp is the date modified. Yeah. Okay, so here's a trick question for each and every one of you here. How many files or folders do you currently see? Trick question. Trick question. Let's do a count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. You see 6 or 7 files. So bad luck, yeah. Are you sure? You really sure there are 6 or 7 files? Alright. With your naked eye right now, you should see 7 files. Nick Ring said 16. Interesting that Nick Ring said 16. Why is that? That answer is actually probably more accurate. Believe it or not. You may be thinking I'm insane. Okay. So here's, go to that command, ls. Okay. ls does a list directory content, but there is a flag, should be here, minus lowercase a. Include directory entries whose name begins with a dot. Ooh. All right. So we know 2 flags now, the my lowercase l, lowercase a. I'm going to clear the screen. So now I'm going to do ls minus l. This should match the directory structure. Desktop, documents, download, library, movies, okay? But what happens if I do ls minus l, and then I'd also add a minus lowercase a? Now watch what happens. Woo! Actually, Nick, probably you were under. You went way under. But Tufts FC said, but some are probably hidden. That is correct. Okay? There are a lot more than 8 files. Now, as Tufts FC said, it's probably like a lot of hidden files. Files that start with a dot. Okay? Files that start with a dot are called hidden files. Dot files are very common. Dot files are hidden. They aren't shown. Why are dot files so important? Well, for things like hiding configuration files, hiding secrets. Okay? Dot files are just like any other file. The only difference about dot files is they aren't shown. Okay, they're called hidden files, and that's important because, for example, um, what is a hidden file here? A good example of a hidden file is .gitconfig. I have this file called .gitconfig here. Okay, so I clear the screen, ls space minus l, ls space minus l minus a. All right, you can see all my hidden files. Also, you can do this. I like to do ls minus la. Yes, after a dash, you can chain a whole bunch of flags. So instead of doing minus l and then space minus a, you can do minus la, and you get the same result. So we have this hidden file called .gitconfig. What is that? Well, can we take a look at this file? Well, it looks like git.gitconfig does not contain a D. It does not contain an L at the file permission, so it just has a dash. That means it's like a regular file that you can take a peek at. So how can you take a peek at a file? There are many ways that you can take a peek at a file. One option that you can take a peek at a file is more. It's called more, okay, .gitconfig. And that is my Git configuration file. So there's only one thing that is in my Git config file, which is two things, which is my name and my email address. You can also do concatenate, cat.gitconfig, and you also get the same spit out. But wait a minute, whoa. So I can take a look at the contents using more and also cat. The answer is yes, but there are differences. Okay? So let me do an ls. So where am I? So I'm in my documents. I'm in my working directory. Now let's take a look at my file system graphically. So if I go to my documents folder, you can see boot camp, cybersecurity, defense against the dark arts, a PCAPS folder, a whale folder, and a WTW folder. So what is these things? Well, I can tell you we're going to use boot camp next week. Defense Against the Dark Arts. This is a course website. This is a folder that houses the course website. All right, and the course, the home page, if you go to cs116.org, this is our course website here. It's all done in HTML. Go to view source. This is the entire HTML that is published. I don't need the browser right now. But one of the things that I want to take a look at is this index.html folder. So what I can now do is cd documents, ls, cd defense against the dark arts, okay, and do an ls, and you can see my index.html file. Now, if you want to go back a directory, okay, and there's a special hidden file called the cd cd space . What it will do is the will go back a directory. So now I'm back at documents. Okay? If I do cd space ... again, I go back to my home directory, my own home directory. Okay? Clear the screen. So I'm going to cd into documents, do an ls. Can you do this? Can you do ls space ... Of course you can. Can you do ls space ... Sure you can. ls space ... Yeah, you sure can. Is there a difference with that trailing folder? Not really in this case. Can I go to ls ... It just goes to the root directory. You're not going to get any errors. You just get back at the root directory. Pretty nice. Okay. Here is another fun trick that you can do. Clear the screen. cd space tilde. Tilde will always bring you back. Always bring you back to your home directory. slash user slash home. Doesn't matter whether you are on Windows, WSL, Linux, Mac OS. No matter what your configuration is, cd space tilde will always go back to your home directory. Okay? So I'm going to go to cd documents. Now, I do know, let's do ls documents. LS space documents, you have boot camp, cybersecurity clinic, the PCAP, defense against the dark arts. I want to go into the defense against the dark arts folder. I don't want to do all that typing though, so I can do cd documents slash defense, and then I can do an asterisk, which is called the wildcard. And it will go into the folder that starts with defense. Now, if you have two folders that starts with the word defense, it will get confused. You will get an error. In this case, there's only one folder that starts with the word defense in documents. So we'll just go into defense against the dark arts folder, do an ls. Now, here's the difference between more and cat. More index.html. You can go forward or backwards, slowly. Hey Square Mario, how are you? You can go forward or backwards in the file. So when you're trying to review a file, or when you're trying to review something and you need to go backwards and forward, more is the way. I'm going to do a clear the screen. Now, here's another thing, if you don't know yet. If you're on Bash, if you're using the Bash shell or ZSH shell or any shell, if you hit the up arrow on your keyboard, you go back to your previous commands. You can see all your previous commands. You can actually hit the up arrow, down arrow, up arrow, down arrow. You can go back. So remember how last time we did more space index.html? Now you do cat space index.html. Watch the difference. Wow! It just fires and spits out everything. You can't go backwards. Cat is just going to spit out everything. That's cat. That's more. And now we're doing go back to more index.html. You see the difference? Huge difference. Okay? Huge difference. Here is a command I usually don't show very often. Man, WC. Word count. Okay? WC is one of these fun commands I use every so often called word count. You can do WC space index.html. What? There are 3 columns. 919, 2,900. What the hell is it? What the hell? Word, line, and character. Okay, word, line, character, and byte count. Okay. The WC utility displays the number of lines, words, and bytes. Okay. Word, lines, words, and bytes contained in the input file. Words, lines, and bytes. There are really 2,959 lines in index.html. Well, there is a little flag. There's a flag called line WC space -L index.html. Oh, okay. So line word. Okay. So I got it mixed up. I'm getting senile here. Line, words, and bytes. Okay. So there are officially 919 lines in index.html. There are 2,959 words in index.html. And the file size of index.html is 39,411 bytes. If you do an ls space minus little l flag, notice the file size is also in the column after the user in the group. So 39,411 bytes is pretty damn small. Not bad at all. One of my favorite commands, and one command that you will be using quite a bit, is called file. Man, file. File is determine the file type. Determine a file type. Okay, so if I do file index.html, it's going to return index.html as an HTML document text, Unicode text, UTF-8. Why is the file command important? The file command is important actually to really understand what kind of file it is. When you actually see a file that is, let's say index, like let's say finance.pdf, finance.pdf. Is it really a PDF file or is it some other thing? Is it a Microsoft Word document? You can find out with file. Okay. What was the column that says staff next to the file type? Hold it. What was the column that says staff? This one? This is the group and this is the owner of the file. Okay. And this, the 9,800,39411, this is the file size. Hope that helps, Candlebite. That's a good question. This is the, we'll talk about file permission in a little bit. This is a group. This is the owner. M. Chow is the owner. The group is staff. And the file size is here. Okay. Hey, what is the file type of readme.md here? It's an ASCII text. What do the letters mean? Alright, loopsie daisy. Alright, loopsie daisy. Loopsie daisy. What do the other letters mean in the first column beside that first letter? Okay. Alright, I give up. Mark, okay. Loopsie daisy wins, and she forced my hand. It's okay. Let's talk about file permissions now. Talk about file permission. Can you see? All right. Paste this in. All right. Talk about file permissions. File permissions, really important for security, if anything. Think of it as access control. Now, why are file permissions important? Well, I'd say who has permission to what. Again, that's also security. So, here is how you read file permissions. They're based on tuples. The first character the first letter, the first character, is either a dash, a D, an L, or sometimes an L means a link, better known as an alias, aka shortcut. Okay? Now, loopsie daisy, the first tuple after the first character. Permissions of the owner. So you see R, W, okay? The R stands for read. The W stands for write. X stands for execute. Okay? Read, write, execute. Second, oh shoot. The second tuple after the first tuple, permission of the group. Now, I'll give you a really good example. Groups are important because of belonging and hierarchy. So a good example is if you do, actually, some people may remember this. Let's say, for example, now I actually do an SSH into the homework server. I use piano as the same as this. It's the same as homework, but it's like a faculty line. Okay. I'm logged into homework.cs.tufts.edu now. My username on homework.cs.tufts.edu is mchow. The group I belong to is faculty. The faculty, okay, I know there are at least three groups, four groups. There's a faculty group, there's a student group, there's an alumni group, and there's an administration group. Okay? If you are in the student group, okay, you cannot see grades, any of the grading directories. If you are a faculty member, you have a little bit more permission compared to students, but not that much. You have like access to your own like coursework directory. If you're a staff, or if you're an admin, you have access to everything. Okay, so you see the importance of the idea of groups. Okay, because for example, if you're a student and you're trying to, if you're in the student group, you have no access to any of the grading directories on the homework server. But if you try to access any of the grading directories on the homework server, you actually can get expelled. Okay? Yes, everything that you do on a server is always monitored. Okay? So that's the importance of groups. Okay? So a perfect example in this case is students versus faculty. Okay, students are not going to have that much privileges, only like to read and write files, open directories, create directories, you name it. So let's go back here again. The second tuple after the first is the permissions of the group, and the third tuple is permission of others, the world. Okay? So, I hope that answers your question, Loopsy Daisy. What those characters mean in the first column beside the first letter. Okay, so let's say, for example, the labs. Labs, okay, labs is a folder because it starts with the letter D. There you go. The first three characters, RWX, means mchow has read, write, and execute permissions to the folder. The staff group have only read and execute permissions to the folder, but cannot write anything to the folder. And then read, and then of course, for the final tuple is the rest of the world. Let's say if there's another user on the system, will have read and execute permissions to the labs folder. Does that make sense? Okay. So I'm going to pull up a page. Linux File Permission Handbook. This one I have never seen before. Okay, permission for file, permission for directories. This a better one? Bowdung was good. Oh, how to sit now. Alright, this is fine. User is the owner of the file, the group, every user is a part of a certain group. Other is anyone else on the system. File permissions, read, write, execute, can run the file if it's execute. Directories mean you can enter the directory. Okay? There's a whole bunch of things. Okay, so each letter denotes a permission. Each letter denotes a particular permission for. Oh, there was a. If I can find it, there's a way better one I've seen. How to set file permission. Ah, this one. I think it's these. Okay, here. Geeks for Geeks is usually pretty good. How are the tuples separated within the first column? Again, hold on. There you go. I can send links. Okay. Every file and directory have 3 basic permissions: read, write, execute. Okay. Owners group. Again, the tuples are separated within the first column. Owners group all users. There you go. That answers Super Panda's question. Okay. User group other. Okay. How to check for file permission. Do the ls-l. I already showed that. How to change permissions. This is the interesting one. Okay? You can use something called symbolic notation. There's a couple of ways to do this. I don't, you can add, remove permission based on, symbolics. Like, if you want to give the execute permission to the world, others, for the file xyz.txt, you start by typing chmod change mod lowercase o, and then you do a plus for the permission that you are adding, and then an x for execute. Okay? So that's one way to change a file permission. You can also do it all at once. I use the numeric. Method, which is what they call the octo notations permission. Here are how the permissions are mapped. Read is 4, write is 2, execute is 1. Permission for owner, group, and others are represented by a 3-digit octal value. The sum of the permissions gives the corresponding number. Okay? So if you want to give a read, write, execute permission for only the owner, it's 4 plus 2 plus 1, which is 7. And then 0 for group and others. All right. This is fun. All right. For Super Panda and for those of you folks, let's have some fun now. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to clear the screen. I'm going to cd tilde into my current working directory, and I'm going to go to my desktop. CD desktop. I'm going to make a new directory. mkdir, make directory. And I'm going to call this Twitch. mkdir Twitch. I can also do a rmdir Twitch. Blows away the folder. Make mkdir. I'm doing that right now to airplane for a stream. Airplane for stream. And Band Luck Love 7777. So I'm going to do a new folder called I'm going to make a folder called Band Luck. Do an ls-l. And I can see the permissions of the file for Band Luck are: the owner, mchow, has read, write, execute permission. Everyone else has read, execute permission. Okay? Now, how can I set the permission for each group? Let's say for this folder, Band Luck, I want to boycott everyone else that is other than me. I want to give no permission to the group, staff and to others on band luck. So I would do change mod. Okay. We're going to keep read, write, execute for me. Nothing for a group. Nothing for others. Band luck. That's it. Now if I do an ls minus l again, notice the file permissions. So if you are a member of the staff but not named M. Chow, or you're someone else, some rando, and you try to access the band luck folder, you're not going to even be able to open it. Okay? Now, I'm going to go cd band luck. Okay? So I am going to do, how many files are here? ls, nothing. ls minus l, total 0. ls minus la, ooh, there's only a dot and a dot dot. Dot dot means go back a previous directory. The dot means the current working directory. So a cd single dot means you're going nowhere. Current working directory. pwd, you're in /users, /mchow, /desktop, /bandluck. Okay? So a single dot, as a folder means a current working directory. A double dot, dot dot, is go back up a directory. So there are no files in the bandluck directory. So, again, there's no files here. But what we're going to do is something called touch. We're going to create a brand new file. And I'm going to pick on down. Tufts FC. Wait. Touch Tufts FC. And we're going to give it a file extension because file extensions are important. And we're going to make this a markdown directory. So I'm going to start a permanent record for Tufts FC. Well, actually, Tufts underscore FC dot MD. Okay? So for Tufts underscore FC dot MD, watch what happens. Remember, there were no files in the bandluck directory before. Now you see that there is a folder called Tufts, there is a file called Tufts underscore FC.md, ls minus l. Okay? Read, write, execute for Tufts underscore FC.md for me, read permission for everyone else, including the staff. Okay. Now, we're not going to get into a flame war, okay, on what's your favorite text editor. I use Vim, okay? Vim, Tufts underscore, okay, you can see there's a 0 byte. Vim, Tufts underscore FC.md. Oh, insert. Okay, that's it. I don't like the grammar. Insert mode, mind me. Seems like a good person. Colon WQ. And now if I do an ls minus l again, you know that I just modified Tufts underscore FC.md. It's now 70 bytes. More Tufts underscore FC.md. There you go. Permanent file. Permanent record for Tufts underscore FC Twitch user. Seems like a good person. Okay. You there, Tufts underscore FC? Alright. Now, let's take a look at the file permissions again for Tufts underscore FC.md. Okay. What I am going to do now is I'm going to change the file permissions of Tufts underscore fc.md to be only readable only. Remember this thing right here, this little guide? Read is 4, write is 2, execute is 1. We're only going to make Tufts underscore fc.md readable only, not writable. And you'll notice the difference. So change mod, and then of course the permission to be 400, so Tufts fc.md is only readable, not writable. It's okay, Control-Alt-4, this is actually recorded. Now watch what happened when I try to edit Tufts underscore fc.md. You notice something in Vim? It says read, oh shit. Here, read only. It says read only. If I try to modify it, reading, changing a read-only file. Space, dot, he left, colon, dot, try to write the file, can't do it. Read-only option is set, so I have to get out of here. So now, if you do an ls minus l, you can see Tufts underscore fc.md is only a readable file by me. Everyone else got no permission. I can't even, if you actually have there's no W, there's no W here, that means you can't even write it. You can change it. Let's change it back to be readable and writable. CHMOD, space, 4 plus 2 is 6. Tufts underscore fc.md, ls minus l. Now Tufts underscore fc.md is now readable and writable. Go back up. Seems like a good person. Now I can edit. He left. What the fuck? Now 88 bytes because we can do a read and write. Okay, so now, all right, what did that touch command really do? Man touch. Change file access and modification times. Touch is an interesting tool. If a file does not exist and you do a touch on it, it will automatically create it. However, if you do a touch on a file that exists already, like for example, Tufts underscore fc.md, it will just change the timestamp. So I'm going to clear the screen, do an ls minus l again. All right, you can see September 4th, 17 to 5:29 p.m. 5:29 p.m. Tufts underscore fc. So watch what happens when I do a touch Tufts underscore fc.md. If I do an ls minus l again, it just changed the timestamp. Again, this is the only file in this folder, but what happens if I do touch slackjaw? Dastro. Oh, what's the command to exit Vim? Okay. The command, I'll do it for you. Vim slack. Oh, shoot, I spelled it wrong. I'm going to do an insert mode. The command to exit Vim is type the colon and then lowercase q. Okay? So I'm going to do a, oh yes, to write a file is hit colon W and then colon Q to exit. Does that answer your question, Slackjaw? Okay. Slackjaw, I hope that answers your question. File, Tufts underscore fc.md, an ASCII file. What kind of a file is Slackjaw? I think it's going to be still ASCII text. There you go. So now I'm going to go back a directory. All right. Doing ls-l, bandluck is the folder. We went back up a directory, and you can see the directory is read, write, execute. Watch what happens when I do a change mod. .600 of bandluck. So bandluck is read, write, but not executable. Remember, bandluck is a folder. Starts with a little d. Read is for the read, write, but there's no execute here. Watch what happens when I try to do a cd bandluck. You ready? Permission denied. Because there's no execute permission for the folder bandluck. No execute permission for a folder means you cannot open it. Okay? Can you do shit out of luck and just change everything to 0? Yeah? Can't do anything. Okay? Can't even CD, but can you change the file permission? Of course you can. Because I'm the owner of the folder. There you go. ls-l. We're back. So I hope that answers the question about how you change file permissions. Alright? Oh, here's a fun one. CD bandlock. I'm going to go back into bandlock again. I'm going to clear the screen, do an ls-l, and an ls-la. I'm going to create a hidden folder, hidden file, vim, secrets, vim.secrets. Do this all the time. The password of the day is joint. That's it. If I do an ls-l now, you know it's not going to show the file. However, if you do an ls-la, you see the file I just created called secrets. More.secrets. The password of the day is joints. There you go. All right. Here is another fun command that is going to be very helpful. Strings. Find the printable strings in an object, or other binary, or file. All right. So if you do strings, Tufts _fc.md, you just get all the human readable strings of a file. You can use strings on a binary, PDF file, Word file, you name it. It's just going to get human readable strings. All right. Where am I? I'm at bandlock. I'm going to go back a directory now. Clear the screen. Fun command. You've seen clear. Oh, history. History. Type a history command. Get a history of everything that you've typed in so far. Yeah, this is everything that we've done today. We've executed quite a bit of commands today. That's 535. Now, I think we're done with file permissions. You got a good crash course, so let's see. PWD we've done, ls we've done, cd, man, makedir. Oh, we did rmdir. rm. Oh, I think we did. I'm gonna do an rm Tufts _fc.md that removes the file. Okay. You know, there is touch we've done clear, move. MV is the mover file. You can MV /jawdistro.txt to upper directory. So what I can do is this. Check this out. I can do an MV star.txt, move all the text files up a directory, and notice what happens. I moved all the text files up a directory, which is on my desktop. I can also do mv /star.txt, move all the text files in the previous directory into my current working directory with a single dot. And here you go. I can do that as well. I can also rename a file. Here's a nice shortcut for you. I had a misspelling in Slack-Jaw distro because there's an extra H here. Slack-Jaw distro. Now I'm going to correct and rename Slack-H-Jaw distro.txt to Slack-Jaw distro.txt. Hit enter. That renames the file to be the proper spelling of your username. Bang. Yeah, so move MV. MV is to move a file. Also a nice hack to rename as well. Now, keep that in mind. Oh yeah, how about grep? Man, grep. Ah. Grep. Grep utility searches for any text and input file. Okay. More star.txt. Okay. Grep hello into Slack jaw. Grep is find. Bam. Just trying to find text. Yeah. I don't know what templos are. Alright, we did grep, we did cat, we did more. Oh, uptime. Uptime load averages. This brings back post-traumatic stress disorder. I showed how long the system has been running up for. And the load average of system over the last 1, 5, 15 minutes. So this is an example. If you have, here's the thing. When back in the ye good old days, have anyone ever run uptime on the Halligan, on the homework servers at Tufts when CS 11, 15, or 40 assignments are due? I remember back in the days when we ran uptime every so often to see how bad the servers at the Tufts homework servers were, and it was anything over 10, you were in for a long night. Oh yes. I don't know if you folks ever run uptime, but if you're in 11, 15, or 4 in the introductory courses and you run uptime on the homework server, it could be afraid, be very afraid. If you are getting load averages in the 20s and 30s, you knew an assignment was due. Just did that, history. wget. Oh, how about this one, wget. Wget is great. I'm in a band luck folder. I'm going to do a wget https :/ webget, non-interactive network downloader. You can use it to go download stuff. www.cs.tufts.edu/comp/116 sample.pcal. Oh, and I have my firewall saying, yes, want to connect to a Tufts server? Yes. Oh, simple.pcal. Bing! Simple.pcal file. What is a pcap file? Pcap capture file, version 2.4. Simple.pcap is only 715 bytes. Okay. More simple.pcap. Yeah, okay, cat simple.pcap. The hell is this? Strings simple.pcap. Strange. This will be the topic of conversation next week. Yeah, when we do, what in the world is that? Change mod we did, touch we did, sudo. Sudo, if you need temporary root permission or admin permission to do things like installing software, use sudo. be root, be admin temporarily. If you try to run sudo on the Tufts homework servers, you will get flagged. You will get yelled at. It's a grumpy email. I have to bail you out of jail, which unfortunately I do quite often. Okay? PS. Man, PS. Process status. Here is a simple explanation for what what PS is. See all the things that are running on your system. PS AUX, and you can see, like on my Mac OS, you can see like all the stuff that is running. Yes, I have Brave open. I use Brave for my web browser. You can see all the stuff that's open on the system level. Monitors everything that's happening on your system. PS AUX. Yeah. Man. PS. Process status. Lowercase a. Display information about other users' processes as well as your own. Lowercase u. Displays the processes belonging to specific username. X. When displaying processes matched by yada 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 yada, do not yada 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 yada. Okay. All right. File we did. DU. How about this one? Hey, want to load it? No, I don't want full screen. Damn it. There we go. Here you go. DU 24. Display disk usage statistics. Go back a directory. DU. What? Displays the file system block usage for each. Okay, but is there a human readable version? DU minus H. Human readable. 12K, 20K total. Okay, not bad. Alright, can I do a rmdir on banluck? No. You can only do rmdir on empty directory. The problem is ls banluck or ls minus la banluck. There's at least two, well in this case at least three, there's like 3 files in there. Okay, so option number 1 is to delete .secret, simple.pcap, and slackjaw-dastro.txt individually. Or you can do an rm minus rf, a recursive delete banluck. Be careful with this, because if you do an rm minus rf style, you blow away everything. Careful. Rm space minus rf is a recursive. Delete everything under the hood. Actually, bam, gone. Oh, you might need homebrew get. Homebrew. What is homebrew? That's a good one. Yes, Linux systems do come with wget. Mac OS, no, unfortunately. Homebrew is what you call the missing package manager. It's like, it is awesome to install any software that you want. Install Homebrew. If you're on Mac OS, you can install all the great software in the world, including Brave, Google Chrome, and look at this, wget. I use Homebrew to manage my entire system. So I do brew list, and you can see the software tools that I have on here. Good points, Control Alt 4, thank you. I am awake 1, 2, 3. Good point. Find. The find command. We'll do one more. Then we're out of time. Man find. Walk a file directory. Okay. So I am going to go back to my home directory. Go to my documents. Go to Defense Against the Dark Arts. So I'm going to find what? Find in your current working directory a file called minus name readme.md. Wow, I didn't know this. I had that many readme.mds. So find in my current working directory all the files that is named readme.md. I didn't know there were that many readme.mds in the folder. Case sensitive. Capital R, capital readme all caps is very different than readme all lowercase caps. Case sensitive. And now, my friends, that concludes today. Next week, we're going to look at what the hell is this PCAP thing. You know, that simple.pcap that we downloaded by way of wget, we'll look at. Also, it's now the time to practice your skills. Okay? Over the wire, bandit games. Bandit is what you call a capture the flag game. This is a game that you can learn and practice everything that we have done today. This is a game where you practice using Linux commands. This year, the goal is to reach up to level 15 and call it a day. Level 15 for everyone. You're going to have a lot of fun. People say they have way too much fun playing this each and every year. Okay? So one very important last note. It goes without saying, you are not going to master the command line overnight. You need to build habit. You need to have that tangible skill. You know, it requires practice. I have used the command line for over 20 years, and I have still so much stuff that I don't even know. But this is only going to help you for your long term. All right, folks, we are a little over time. Sorry about that. I hope you had fun. See you all next week. Yeah. Yeah. How can I get the... Yeah. Hey, Kevin. Thank you. Thanks, everyone. Thanks, everyone. Yes.